Welcome class to your Chapter 1 video for getting started. This particular chapter has no, PowerPoint that goes with it. It should be a fairly short video, and so we're just going to go over the pages in Chapter 1, and there are only 13 pages. So from the first edition to the second edition, this chapter has really been cut down and kind of taken some confusion out of the chapter. So what is Python is our overview. So it's a high-level programming language for general purpose programming. I've been programming since I went to school in the mid-90s, and it is one of the most efficient types of languages and the easiest type of language with syntax wise to learn. So it's very exciting to use, so hopefully along the way you'll feel the same way that I do. It has many purposes to make games, and we talked about in our introduction video the alien invasion game that we're going to build. You can build web applications, solve business problems, develop internal tools for the companies. It is the language that we need to be learning currently here in 2019. In this chapter, you'll run your first Python program, Hello World, and these are our objectives. We're going to set up our programming environment. We're going to run Python on, or you're going to see how you can install Python on different OSs, and then we're going to look at Python text editors, or in this case they only recommend one editor, but I'll talk about another editor as well. Chapter 1 lectures, so this is where I will be posting the link to this lecture that you're listening to. Chapter 1 assignments, so you'll want to read Chapter 1, again all 13 pages. You're going to install Python, and then install and configure an editor. The editor that they use in this edition of the text is Sublime Text. It's a really good editor, and it's one that is used heavily in the web development area. Complete introductions discussion, and then we want to look at the try it yourself exercises on page 17. And then here's that introductions discussion down here. So I want you to introduce yourself and then make sure that you reply to at least 2 of your classmates. You can read my introduction over in the announcement section, get to know a little bit about me. And then lastly, you want to make sure that you also complete the Chapter 1 quiz. Okay, so let's jump up here and look at install Python first. So you're going to, as you're reading through Chapter 1, you will see Python on different operating systems starting on page 5. So if you are on a Windows operating system, you're going to go to that section. If you are on a Mac or on a Linux, you're going to jump to those particular sections. So I'm on a Windows system, and I'm going to go to python.org. Okay, actually they first have you test opening up a command prompt. So in a Windows system, you could go command. If you're in a Linux system, you're going to use your terminal. So here, I could go ahead and enter Python at my prompt, if I can type it right. And I can see that I have Python and I have the latest version installed because I just did this a couple days ago. So you might have Python installed. If you're on a Linux system, you most likely will have Python installed, but it might not be the latest version. So I'm going to Control Z out of there and get back. So let's just imagine I don't have Python installed. I'm going to go to python.org. I'm going to go to download, click on the link, and then this might look a little confusing to you. If you're a Linux user, you've probably seen some of these file names as we get down into the file section. So I use the executable Windows x86-64 executable installer, and that's what I used to install. Downloaded an executable file and then went through the installation. Okay, when you're going through the installation, I'll go ahead and see if I can do this. Okay, so it should be saved up here. Okay, so it's popping up with this uninstall on it right now because I've already installed it. I'm just going to refer you to the page 6 in your Chapter 1. Down at the bottom when you have this and it's you're just installing it for the first time, there is a checkbox that says Add Python 3.7 to Path. It is very key that you check that. Okay, I recommend that if you forget to do it, uninstall it and reinstall it and go ahead and check that box again. Okay, so once you have that installed, you will be able to type your Python here. And see your Python prompt. When you see these three symbols here, this is allowing you to type Python. So if I type in here print hi, that's a Python command, and it's going to print out what I have in quotation marks. Okay, so you can test your statements right here from the command prompt once you have your Python installed. Okay, so that is that, and you want to make sure that you have your latest version as well. Let's look at the text editor. So Sublime Text is the one that they use for this edition of the book, so you want to go to Sublime. So I'll go to Sublime Text Editor, sublimetext.com, and click on that. If you want to learn more about it, you can go through this, but here's download for Windows. I'm assuming you can download for the other operating systems. So I'm going to click on download for Windows. It's the same thing. Save it, run it. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and just open it. So once it's installed, you'll have it through your menu, and you'll be able to create new files and so on. Okay, so once you have Sublime downloaded and opened, you're going to follow what's on page 10. So page 10 is going to take us to Tools, and then we're going to come down to Build System and New Build System. You're going to use this as a template here, and you're going to type what you see in that Python 3.sublime-build code that you see at the top of page 10. So here I'm going to type in, oh, got too much out of it, tab, CMD. Everything is syntax, so you want to make sure that you are coding exactly with syntax that you need in this class. There's no forgiveness. Now, I'm going to modify this instruction. Here on page 10 it says Python 3. Go ahead and try Python 3. If it doesn't work, then you're going to just strip this down to just say Python. Okay, so Python 3, or Python. If you've taken a Linux course, these commands look a little familiar. Okay, so quotation marks, CMD, quotation marks, colon, square bracket. If you don't know where your square bracket is, it's right next to the P on your keyboard. Then you got Python, Python 3 or Python. You can try Python 3, see if it works. If it doesn't work, take it back to Python. Following the quotation mark for Python, it's a comma, then quotation mark dash U, quotation mark, comma, and then what's in the next quotation marks is $file. Following the square bracket, we have a comma. Now you're going to save this as the Python 3 Sublime build. Okay, so if I go save, I have one right here already. And I'll click save. Okay, this file is what directs Python to the files that are necessary from the python.org download to be able to compile your Python code. Okay, so this is what is necessary for that. So I'm going to go File New next, and I'm going to create a Python file, and it's just going to say print hello Python world. And you could put anything you wanted in these quotation marks. Okay, notice that there's no color coding because I have not saved the file yet. It just says the statement up here at the top. So once I go ahead and save it and put it with that .py at the end, and I could save this file anywhere. So hello world.py. I'm going to put it in the desktop. I'm going to save. Now I get some syntax coding. So this is a statement that is known by Python, that it gives instructions to print what's in your quotation marks here. Now I'm going to go ahead and run this by going to Tools and then to Build, or even Build With. You should get exactly what was in the quotation marks as your output. Now let's just say I had Python 3 here, because that's what the book says to use. And I go ahead and Tools and Build. This is what happens. The system cannot find the file specified. So you say to yourself, well, the file is there, it exists, it's on the desktop, it's within this location, I don't understand why it's not working. That's where, in that case, we need to take the 3 off. And I'm not going to say that's the situation for everyone's system, but you just need to test and see what it is. So I'm going to take that back to just Python, give it a save, come back here, Tools, Control B is another one we can go through, and then I get my output. Okay, so that is chapter 1. I want you to install Python from python.org. Okay, and again, this is the one that I use for Windows. If you're on a Mac system, you've got your options up here. And then if you're on a Linux system, you're going to be in these top 2. Okay, so get that installed. Make sure you test it through the command prompt by typing Python or even Python 3 sometimes. Again, I can't say that it's going to be, consistent from one to the other, Python or Python 3, but give both a try if one doesn't work. This is in your command prompt for Python. And you can type any statement here. You can build on statements as well. And we'll be using this as examples as we go through our textbook. And then go ahead and download Sublime Text. Okay. And then go ahead and go through the 2 examples, or not the 2 examples, setting up the build path here. And with the python 3.sublime.build, and then your first example, hello_world.py, and make sure you get these results here at the bottom. This is the file that you would send to me if I needed to debug it. Okay, so anything with the .py on it is what you would send to me as an attachment through email. Okay. Troubleshooting is on page 11. When a program contains a significant error, you will get a traceback error. And so you will see that happen. Let's just say I left the T off of this. Here's a traceback error. So it says name prin is not defined. So it gives you line 1 even, and then you can go back there and figure out what your error is. That's what a traceback error is. Second option there, step away from your computer, take a short break, and then try again. Don't force yourself to sit there for 30 minutes or an hour trying to figure out something that you just are not seeing just because your eyes are tired. Okay, so step away, take some breaths, come back maybe 15 minutes later, 30 minutes later, and you're going to see that, oh my gosh, there is my error. Okay, it works all the time. Start over again. You probably don't need to uninstall any software, but it might make sense to delete your file and recreate it from scratch. Sometimes I will tell you to do that, and I know it's frustrating, but actually sometimes it takes less time to just start from scratch and then to try to figure out what went wrong, or maybe a character is missing and we're just not seeing it. Ask someone else to follow the steps in the chapter, or your computer, or a different one, and watch what they do carefully. You might have missed one small step that someone else happens to catch. In the programming world, we go to coworkers all the time to say, can you come over and look at my code? And usually, again, fresh pair of eyes, and they will see it within the first 5 minutes that they're in your world. The setup instructions in this chapter are also available through the Books Companion website that's listed there in that second to last bullet on page 11, and then ask for help online. Okay, so you can go to some forums, some blogs, and you can also, of course, email me. So that is your chapter 1. Let's just jump back to the assignments page. Complete your introductions discussion, so don't lose your 5 points right away. Go ahead and click on this and then create your thread and introduce yourself. And again, I provided an introduction of myself under announcements. You can use that, as kind of a template if you want to. Complete try it yourself exercises on page 17. Or not page 17, it's actually page 13. I'll get that updated here. And so python.org, you're going to jump back to that and explore the Python homepage to find topics that interest you. So if we jump back here, and I'm going to go back to the home page, you could click any one of these up here. Let's see here, go to 2. Nope, buttons aren't working. Interesting. So more about functions defined. I'm trying to get these buttons to work. Well, let's just say you want to come up here and type in something, maybe you read somewhere else. So variables. So here is something about variables. So anything that you find interest, that's what you want to do for that particular one. So page 13 is our page. Okay, and explain why. For 1-2, explain why the error occurred. So you're going to come back to your Hello Python world. Maybe you recreate exactly what I did. Okay, and then give me a sense of why it caused that error. Put my T back in here before I forget. Okay, infinite skills. If you had an infinite programming skills, what would you build? You're about to learn how to program. If you have an end goal in mind, you'll have an immediate use of your new skills. Now is a great time to draft descriptions of what you want to create. It's a good habit to keep an ideas notebook that you can refer to whenever you want to start a new project. Take a few minutes now to describe 3 programs that you want to create. Okay, so that's what I need there, and then you're going to go ahead and complete the quiz that is listed. Okay, if you have any questions on what is required for chapter 1, please don't hesitate to give me a call or give me that email. Thank you for your time.